Hello, welcome to Show and Tell Meg. I'm Megan and I like to make things. And today I thought I would share my plans for repurposing something that I recently purchased. I love to sew things. I have a lot of fabric, but sometimes we can't necessarily find the exact fabric that we're looking for. I have certain types of fabric that I have in my mind when I plan something out, and I'll think, ooh, if I could just find this color of this type of fabric so that I could make it, right? And sometimes you can do that, sometimes you can't, particularly if you're on a budget, which I very much am. I try to keep my sewing practice more frugal. And so I'm not one to just rush to the big online stores or the local stores and pay full price for anything. I'm going to plan something out for some time and wait until something goes on sale and things like that so that I can get it for the best possible price. And as such, I have learned how to repurpose fabric. So typically, I would repurpose things from thrift stores, whether it's buying dresses that are too big and altering them down or altering them into something else, turning them into a skirt, using, I've never used table linens. I've used sheets before, and that's a little hit or miss depending on the type of garment that you're wanting to make. There's a reason that sheet fabric is for sheets and not on your body sometimes. Sometimes it works out though. And so with that in mind, this is the first ever project that I have purchased a brand new item, like complete and finished from a store, that I plan on chopping up and making into something else. I happen to love this color green. Just look at it. I'm seeing it on the screen here. It's just like electric. I love this green. I call it like leprechaun green. It is one of my absolute favorite colors, and I don't find a lot of things that are already in this that are ready to wear. I also don't tend to find a lot of this color fabric because it's not for everyone, this is a very bright color. Luckily for me, and this is so random, I don't shop in stores. I shop in thrift stores and make things myself. So the fact that I went into an Old Navy was so random, but they happen to have quite a few items that are made in this color green, which they are calling Beach Cruiser green. And I purchased a dress that I also am going to show in a different project because I have plans for that as well. That is wearable. Like I can wear it as a dress. I have already worn it. This one though, I knew I would never wear this. So this is a spaghetti strap knit dress with a, midi length skirt, I believe they would say these days. To me, it's just knee length or slightly below the knee. But I would never wear, for one, a spaghetti strap anything. I always have sleeves. And for two, I would never wear a knit dress. I just don't put knits on my bottom half. It's just not a look I'm a fan of. So when I saw this, I was like, oh man, if only this was a t-shirt or some other kind of thing. And then I thought, I can sew things. I could get this dress and I can make it into something else that I would wear. Old Navy has a pricing structure that things are always on sale. This I happened to catch when it was half price. So I paid $15 for this knit dress, which is a sizable amount of fabric. My tip is, if you're going to do something like this, you want to get the biggest one possible. So this is a size 4X dress. I am not a size 4X, and this is, not any kind of commentary about a 4X. It's just, this was the largest that the dress came in. And so I knew I could pay the same $15 for a size extra small or my own size or this size and get more fabric. They were all the same price. And so I bought the biggest one. I'm going to show you how big this is on me. Just, for giggles. Because I'm going to chop this up and it is just going to be fabric, baby. I have already laid out my pieces for the pattern that I plan to do. I plan on making another Forget-Me-Not Patterns Vera top, which is the one that I just did for So Frugal, and I made it in a really pretty bamboo knit. This is a viscose knit. It's a 95% viscose, 5% elastane knit, and I bought some recently from Joann's that I was really disappointed in. They were very, I don't know, synthetic-y feeling. This is what I was thinking from a viscose knit. It is soft, it is drapey, and I think this is just going to be absolutely perfect for a Vera top. So we're going to lay this out. My pattern pieces just barely fit, and I will end up with some odds and ends that I can use for other things as accents later. But yeah, I'm going to take a completed dress and chop it up and make it into a shirt that I will wear. I figured I would show sort of the process of figuring out if your pattern will fit, since this isn't yardage. I mean, this skirt is 32 inches long because it's kind of an up here waist. I'm not going for that. I'm using this as yardage, and so there's two pieces. So essentially I have a yard there. But this is quite wide. And so in order to see how things are going to lay out, I will match up the side seams and lay everything out. I'm going to use that side seam as my center fold cutting line for these pattern pieces. So that one's gonna go on that side. This one's gonna go there. Which, when I do this for real, I won't use that seam line as my center fold, simply because I don't want a seam line down the front of my shirt. But that's gonna go there. And I'm gonna just loosely pin this just to keep things in place as I place the other pattern pieces. Get everything flat, just so we get a general good idea. So my front and back are placed, and the big question is going to be the sleeves, because I really like these billowy bishop sleeves. That's kind of the main reason that you want this particular pattern. And it's a large piece, and so I think I'm going to end up with the seam line there when I do this, but when I put it in between for the size shirt that I just made, it fits completely fine. So I know that this is going to be totally good. I also have a cuff piece that I have to have two of, and a neckband piece, which only needs one, but that will easily fit in the top section here. I have enough fabric right here that I know that I could cut this neckband no problem. Once it's not gathered, once I undo that, it'll come apart no problem. I'm gonna have plenty of yardage to make this, but if I didn't, I have the entire bodice still of this pattern, or of this dress. So I could easily lay this on the bodice, which the bodice is lined, self-lined. So I can just take those pieces apart too. I will probably use those for some future project because I love this color. I will accent something with it. But now I know that this is all I need to make this shirt. And so I used almost 2 yards of fabric when I made my first one, probably like 1 3/4 yards. And I paid $15 for this dress, and I have plenty to make this shirt, plus I'm going to have some excess. So $15 for a custom shirt in the color that I love. I mean, it's a no-brainer. Of course I'm going to do it. So now that I've established for sure that I have enough fabric, which this is always the most nerve-wracking part, I'm going to chop it up. And so what I like to do is identify the order that these seams were sewn in. This one, just looking at how this is put together, the skirt was sewn after the bodice. Like the skirt was assembled, the bodice was assembled, and then the skirt was sewn on. And there's clear elastic in this seam. I could be really good and seam rip this, but I don't want to. And I don't need that length. I don't need that extra little 1/4 inch, you know, and it's going to be super bunched up. So we are just going to snip that bad boy off and then we're gonna have 2 separate pieces. So I'm just snipping right next to that stitching line, right where the top stitching is from the serger threads. And just cutting off the elastic and stuff. So here's my elastic. This will go in the trash. Here is the entire skirt. And since I'm going to use those side seams, I'm gonna just leave it as one large tube. Now that I have it apart, I'm gonna wash this. Anybody who's bought anything new, you know that things can shrink up a bit in the wash. I always wash garment fabric before I use it because you just never know. Sometimes things shrink considerably, sometimes they hardly shrink at all, but I would rather account for that shrinkage before I have sewn something and then have it turn out to be too tight. So I'm going to take this whole piece, and honestly, I'll probably wash this too. If this was a woven fabric, you would need to serge the edges just to prevent it from unraveling and making a horrible mess in your washing machine and your dryer. It keeps the fabric laying nicer too. When you wash it that way, it can bunch up in weird spots. So I like to try to avoid that. I'm also not going to take out the hem. For now, we're just going to see how that goes in the wash. So yeah, my next step is to wash all of this and dry it, and then I'll be free to cut out my new shirt and get started. I have finished my shirt and I absolutely love how this turned out. So this previously was a dress. Isn't that crazy? I always think that that's the coolest thing, but this is my Vera top by Forget Me Not Patterns, which is a free download, and it's an excellent pattern. I used it for So Frugal and now I'm addicted. And this time I actually did it how the pattern calls for. Previously, it didn't compute that there was a 3/4 sleeve length and a long sleeve, and I thought they were both long, and so I shortened the flounce, which is, you know, part of what I love about it, the bishop sleeve. And this time I did it as drafted, and I really like it. Talking about it coming from a dress though, everything here was cut out as yardage as I showed you, except the sleeves. Because of the limitations of something already being cut out and sewn, I was using the skirt pieces, so there was definitely enough fabric, but I had to use the skirt seam, the side seam, and I just made sure to line up the center of the side seam as the center of my sleeve. So if you look really carefully, it's just a total continuation. If you follow this line, I lined it up. So it's almost seamless looking there. It makes it look extremely deliberate. Also, literally no one is going to walk up to me and go, why is there a seam down the middle of your sleeve? Like, it looks like a design detail. You go to stores and they'll have weird details like this, and none of us even bat an eye at it. It's only when we are thinking about it in terms of, oh, I sewed this myself and it wasn't cut out of a continuous piece. It was used to be a skirt. Like, literally no one is going to know this. No one is going to think it's weird. especially if you take the time to make the seams line up. And this one, I'll admit, it's not as perfect, but it's pretty stinking close. I also took advantage of the machine cover stitched hem because I can use a twin needle, no problem, but a cover stitch hem is always going to come out nicer. It's stretchier, it's not going to unravel as easily as what I can do on my machine. So I made sure to line this up to take advantage of that because it was already done for me. So why not? Let's just take a moment and appreciate the point of this V. I got that done and I was like, no way. It is like perfect. It lined up exactly. And honestly, it really wasn't that hard. The first time, I think I didn't quite visualize exactly what I was doing by the directions, but the directions are really good. And so I was able to get it perfectly lined up. And this is absolutely my color of green. I think it looks really good with my skin tone. It is one of my favorite colors. And so now everything I have left from that dress, this is the skirt. Like this is where I cut everything. And I still have, you know, that's a decent little bit. I can make some kind of a scrappy top. I have this and I still have, I have a piece of the hem. And I still have the entire bodice, which was self-lined. So I have a decent little amount of this. I might, because I love this color so much, I know I will use this. I might get fancy and like do some kind of a scrappy project with maybe some white. I have a ton of white jersey. But yeah, so I'm excited about the prospects of this in the future. Price-wise, this dress cost me $15. If I was to go and try to buy a shirt like this from a store, I would easily pay $15. And did it take me, 3 hours of my own time to make it the shirt that I want? Yes. But it came out great. Like, this is exactly what I wanted it to be. If I was getting nitpicky, the shoulders are a smidge wide, but that's normal for me. And I think some of that is because of how drapey this fabric is. So that's something I'll take into consideration next time I sew this, which I probably will. But yeah, this used to be a dress. And now it is a shirt that I know I will love. It was a dress that I would have never worn. Even in my own size, I would have never worn a dress like that. And now I was able to turn it into something that I absolutely love in a color that I love that is made to fit me to my specifications. And what's cooler than that? I hope that this can inspire you to look at fabric in a different way. Or, I mean, to look at pre-owned clothes or other types of items as fabric. Like, just because something is already made into something else doesn't mean that you can't remake it. Give it new life. Give it a purpose other than the original one. If the original one isn't what you wanted, but you still like that fabric, you can have a shirt like this too. So that's it for today. I hope that you enjoyed this. I hope that this could inspire you to maybe make something yourself and try to use those untraditional fabrics. See things in a new light, give it new life, and make it into something that you'll love. So if you liked this, please give me a thumbs up, subscribe if you're interested. I have so many other things that I am making and would love to share. And until next time, I hope that you enjoy your sewing and have a great day.